When the mudslide hit, Vincent was trapped in the mud and couldn't move at all. His closest buddies, his most treasured lover, all left him without hesitation. It was just me, going against the crowd, who found him barely alive and pulled him out of the mire. Carrying him step by step, I walked over 10 kilometers to finally reach the hospital at the foot of the mountain. Vincent woke up, but I died at 24 of a heart attack. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to 4 years ago. This time around, I decided to stay as far away from Vincent as possible. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by a giant hand, and I opened my eyes in a daze. Selena, you're awake. I made some ice cream today, have a bite. It's hot out today. Grandma? I sat up quickly, realizing I was in the familiar rental apartment. Grandma stood there with a bowl of ice cream, smiling kindly. My eyes welled up. How many years had it been since I'd seen her smile like that? Wasn't she bedridden, paralyzed, and no longer recognizing anyone? What year is it today? Selena, are you still groggy? It's 2019, your freshman year in college. Hurry up and eat. I'll feed you since you'll have to head to school soon. I was reborn, back to my freshman year. My name's Selena. Grandma used to tell me I was the fourth child, with 3 older sisters I'd never met. Grandma said they were given away at birth because I was born with a heart condition and nobody wanted me. I grew up with Grandma and never met my mom or dad. Grandma was too old to farm, so she raised me through selling ice cream. Each scoop was $5, and she'd sell from morning till night. My tuition and living expenses all came from her street stall earnings. Life was tough, but with Grandma's sweet treats, it never felt bitter. I did well in school and got into college when I was 19. Grandma wasn't in great health, so I brought her with me so she wouldn't be alone back home. I thought that once I graduated and got a job, I'd give her a happy retirement. But unfortunately, in my sophomore year, Grandma had a sudden stroke in the apartment. Doctors saved her, but she ended up in a vegetative state. Later on, to pay her medical and care expenses, I found Vincent. I became his on-call backup lover. And ultimately, I died saving him. After finishing the ice cream, I felt alive again. In this second chance, no way was I repeating the mistakes of my past life. I took Grandma for a checkup at the hospital. The doctor said she was perfectly fine. Still, I couldn't be careless. It didn't mean she wouldn't have a stroke in a year. Some things might be destined. At the hospital, I thought I saw Vincent again. He was in the emergency room lobby, anxiously looking for someone. But we shouldn't know each other yet. It was a year later that I sought him for money after Grandma's health crisis. Vincent was the young master of the H group, the sponsor of our college's scholarship fund. So, I asked him for $500,000, promising to pay him back once I started working. To my surprise, he agreed right off the bat. I later found out his quick agreement was because I looked just like his first love, Lisa. I decided to save as much as I could this year. Since I didn't know when disaster would strike, I'd be prepared. Relying on others wasn't going to cut it. I'd already gone through college once, so this time I took 4 part-time jobs to earn money. Delivering food, making coffee by day, bartending at night, and tutoring on weekends. Except for exam days, I was nowhere to be seen on campus. Still, I always got top grades. Rumors spread around school about me being a mysterious top student. No one knew where I disappeared to. Lately, things have been feeling odd. At work, I kept seeing a familiar face, Vincent. Whether I was on a food delivery run, especially on rainy days, I'd see him tailing me in his blue Ferrari. I knew that car well. Or he'd be in a bar corner where I worked, quietly smoking. What was he doing here? This wasn't his scene. He liked flashy, luxurious clubs with his rowdy friends, playing dirty games. But I felt like he was watching me, with deep, mournful eyes. It was unsettling. I'd keep my distance. Until one day, he seemed drunk and sat at the bar, calling my name. Selena. My heart skipped a beat. We weren't supposed to know each other yet. a suspicion started to form in my mind. I poured him a glass of ice water. "You've got the wrong person. I don't know you." He took the water, smiled softly, almost talking to himself. "Right, my Selena doesn't know me yet." Then, eyes suddenly brimming with pain and regret, "Does your heart still hurt?" At that moment, I had no doubt that he had been reborn too. Because besides my grandma, no one knew I had a heart condition. I had heart surgery when I was a kid, and the condition was mostly resolved. Unless you use some high-tech equipment, you'd never know there was anything still abnormal. But it didn't affect my daily life or work. If it wasn't for that day in my last life when he heard Lisa was getting married and forced me to drink so much. And if I hadn't carried him down those mountain roads, I wouldn't have had a heart attack. Thinking about my ending in the last life left a sour taste in my heart. But in this life, even if Vincent's reborn too, I want nothing to do with him. "You've had too much to drink." "I don't know you," I said, turning to leave. Vincent suddenly grabbed my hand, pleading, "Selena, could you stop working so many jobs? How much do you need? I'll give it to you, all right?" I shook his hand off in disgust. Then, a tall, elegant figure walked quickly towards us. "Lisa? What's she doing here? Shouldn't she be abroad right now?" She looked at me with a complicated expression. I was sure she recognized me. But she spoke politely like a stranger. "I'm sorry. My boyfriend's drunk." Lisa supported the stumbling Vincent out the door. Even so, I heard Vincent say to her in disgust, "Don't touch me." When I got home, it hit me, Vincent, Lisa, and I had all been reborn. In the last life, Vincent liked Lisa for years, waiting for her for years. That day, he finally got her to come back to the country and arranged a gathering. But Lisa announced in front of everyone that she was getting married to someone else. Vincent nearly went crazy. But he didn't show it. He just smiled and raised his glass to toast her upcoming marriage. Lisa didn't drink. Later, Vincent forced that drink down my throat. And then he acted like nothing was wrong, laughing and chatting with his buddies and Lisa. But a sudden mudslide soon ruined that ridiculous party. I was outside, breathing in the fresh air, trying to get some relief from the heart palpitations the alcohol triggered. I heard the roar, and people rushed out of the villa in panic, some even barefoot. I saw familiar and unfamiliar faces, but Vincent wasn't among them. I knew something was wrong, so I charged back into the villa. I found Vincent buried in the mud. The roads to the hospital below were blocked by mud. I carried him on my back for over 10 miles before reaching the hospital. Lisa rushed Vincent into the emergency room in a panic. I collapsed in the hospital lobby. Before closing my eyes, beneath the glaring white lights, I said my last words, "Vincent, I've finally repaid you. Let's not meet in our next life." Reborn, I was determined not to be part of his and Lisa's love game again. But Vincent kept popping up in my life, like a stubborn stain. No matter where I switched jobs, he waited at the door for me. "Selena, let me take you home." "I don't know you." I was nearly losing my mind. "Could you stop bothering me? Can I have a chance to get to know you? I've liked you for a long time." Vincent looked really sincere. He had these deep dark eyes and handsome features. Most importantly, after being reborn, he'd cut ties with those shady friends, unlike his previous self. He seemed gentle and polite. Everyone was telling me I should accept Vincent, that guys like him are rare. But I knew people don't change that easily on the inside. His feelings were just guilt and regret. And I'd used up all my feelings for him in that past life, with all his pointless humiliations. Finally, one day when Vincent showed up again at the steps of our college, I grabbed a senior's hand nearby. "Will you be my boyfriend?" That day, under everyone's gaze, that senior held my hand and led me down the steps. Vincent's face turned icy and grim to the extreme. Actually, that senior was Gary, head of our student council, famous for being helpful. That's why I dared to do something so outrageous. But afterwards, I felt bad for him. Gary, today was my fault. How can I make it up to you? Gary chuckled. Maybe you should make it up to my girlfriend instead. Who's your girlfriend? I'll go apologize right away. She's not around yet. I'll let you know when she shows up. Who would have guessed mild-mannered Gary had such a cheeky side? Ever since I was reborn, I've been feeling kind of depressed around Vincent, but right now, I'm feeling a little better. So, I hesitantly asked, could you pretend to be my boyfriend for a bit? Gary nodded without a hitch. What can I give you in return? I don't have money, but I can do laundry, cook, and even write papers. Gary's smile froze for a moment. Then his face slowly darkened. Selena, do you think everything needs an exchange to get what you want? Exchange for something. Isn't that how it works? Granny traded her ice cream for my backpack, textbooks, and tuition fees. I was puzzled by what Gary meant. Maybe he doesn't value what I can do. Unlike Vincent, who let me cook for him, take attendance, and do his homework. He could take his frustration out on me too. Even pin me against the bed, in the elevator, or in the car seat. But having lived another life, I don't want to do those things anymore. I lowered my head. Gary, this is really all I can offer. Gary sighed, then playfully messed up my hair a little. Kiddo, what are you even thinking about in that head of yours? If you really want to trade, just bring me some ice cream every day. Turns out Gary likes ice cream. That's easy for me. I inherited my ice cream making skills from Granny. What I make is way better than any store-bought stuff. I made different ice creams for Gary every day. He seemed content and said, tastes like childhood. You ever have my grandma's ice cream before? I asked. After work that evening, it started to rain. Gary came to pick me up with an umbrella. We walked and chatted on the way back. Yeah, I've had it. Before Gary could finish his sentence, a cold, low voice interrupted. Selena. Vincent was standing in the alley by my front door without an umbrella. I'm not sure how long he stood there, but his hair was drenched, and he looked pale. Nervously, I grabbed Gary's hand. Vincent, I have a boyfriend now. Vincent smiled slightly. Yeah, I know. So what do you want? Selena, if nothing happened to your grandma, would you never seek me out again in this lifetime? Vincent asked. I rushed home anxiously, only calming down when I saw Grandma sitting safely inside. Granny, did you meet any strange people today? No, just a nice boy who helped me carry my grocery basket all the way. He was handsome and well-mannered, didn't seem bad at all. Granny. I stamped my foot, worried. Don't talk to strangers anymore. Seeing my serious expression, Granny nodded. Gary comforted me a bit before leaving. Still, I was uneasy. Knowing Vincent from the previous life, he won't hesitate to hurt my family. A few days later, I approached Vincent. Please don't show up around my family anymore, or I'll call the cops. Vincent put out his cigarette and coughed a few times. Selena, do you hate me that much? He had lost weight in the few days I hadn't seen him, and his complexion was pale. Probably caught a cold from the rain last time, his voice was still a bit raspy. Not wanting to get tangled with him, I turned away after issuing my warning. Suddenly, Vincent grabbed me from behind, holding me too tightly for me to break free. Selena, have you really forgotten me? I dream of you every night, carrying me down that long, endless road when you were so weak. How did you manage that? Every time I think of you, I regret and feel heartache. Let's start over, okay? For a moment, a tightness and suffocation gripped my heart, taking me back to that endless road in the previous life. Taking a deep breath, I reminded myself this was a new life. Let me go. I don't even know what you're talking about. Vincent, if you truly feel you owe me, please stop bothering me. After that day, Vincent indeed stayed out of my life. But as the day approached when Granny fell ill in the previous life, my anxiety grew. I feared she'd once again face being bedridden. And all the money I saved this year would barely cover potential expenses. What if Granny really falls ill again? What should I do? Gary seemed to notice something was off with me. Selena, what's on your mind? Nothing. Though Gary pretends to be my boyfriend around Vincent, he's not truly my boyfriend. He isn't obligated to solve all my problems. Finals are coming up, so I may not be able to bring you ice cream. I switched the topic. Do you think I'm just gonna chase you for ice cream debt? If Vincent bothers you again, call me. Just focus on your studies, Gary said. His eyes were pure, carrying a gentle strength, unlike Vincent's deep and passionate gaze. Finals took a week. The day they ended, I took a break from all my jobs to spend time with Granny. It was during this time last life that problems arose with her. But just after setting down the phone, an unknown call came in. Is this Selena? My heart skipped a beat. Your grandma had a stroke and is being treated at the hospital. You need to come right away. How's my grandma? At the hospital, I saw the lights in the emergency room had gone out. My heart clenched. Grandma. I fell to my knees. Don't worry. A doctor helped me up. Her bleeding wasn't severe. She's awake and being moved to a regular room now. But you got her here just in time, she's lucky. Thank you, doctor. Who brought her in? The young man carrying her passed out right after, been coughing like crazy, might be pneumonia. You can check on him in the VIP room upstairs. Fainting? Pneumonia? VIP hospital room? I picture a pale, gloomy face. I go upstairs and push open the VIP room door. Sure enough, Vincent is lying on the hospital bed alone. Selena, you came. Vincent struggles to sit up. Thanks for bringing my grandma to the hospital. No matter what, Vincent did save my grandma's life this time, and I'm grateful. How did you find out that my grandma was in trouble? Vincent grabs my arm. Selena, I don't want your thanks. I just want you to be my girlfriend. Give me another chance, please. His voice is weak, his eyes filled with pain. He looks like he could break with a breath of wind. I really want to let go of his hand. But he just saved my grandma, I don't want to upset him now. I stand there, really not knowing how to respond to Vincent. Just then, the door creaks open, and someone quietly walks in. Gary? Gary approaches me, with the setting sun reflecting in his gentle and calm eyes. He reaches out a hand, palm up. Selena, emotions aren't something to trade. Come with me to see your grandma. Gary doesn't pull or say anything else, just stands there, gently and firmly, letting me choose. But his words woke me up. Yeah, emotions can't be traded. For the first time, I realize I was wrong. I've always been wrong. In my past life, I wanted to trade my feelings for Vincent's money. But all I got was endless contempt and humiliation. And just now, I almost traded my feelings for the favor of saving my grandma. I was so outrageously wrong. Having a second chance at life, I can't make the same mistake again. I look at Vincent's face and slowly pry his hand off. I'm sorry, Vincent, I don't have feelings for you anymore. Vincent turns pale as paper. Selena, I don't care. I can wait, I love you, I really do. I know you and he are pretending, right? The one who truly loves you is me. I shake my head. Vincent, I don't love you, I won't be your girlfriend. Then, I turn and hold Gary's hand. Let's go see Grandma together. Little by little, my grandma's health improves. I hear Vincent's pneumonia has almost healed and he's about to be discharged. This time, my fate finally turns for the better. But I never visit Vincent again. Every time I pass his room, I see Lisa taking care of him. Even the young nurses are saying, that guy in the VIP room is so lucky, his girlfriend is so pretty and gentle. Feeding him his meds and meals. I almost spit out my food. These nurses exaggerate too much. But it seems they're back together, so I have no reason to have Gary pretend to be my boyfriend anymore. I know there's actually a long line of girls already chasing Gary. I can't hold him any longer. For the last time, I make a special ice cream and leave it downstairs at Gary's dorm. Thank you for everything, you don't have to pretend to be my boyfriend anymore. Gary just nods, as if he knew I came to say goodbye. I've been caring for Grandma in the hospital, so hadn't seen him in a while and just realized how much weight he seems to have lost. He also looks a bit worn out. Gary, have you not been resting well lately? No, it's just. I've been thinking about some things from before. What things? Can I help? Gary still smiles and gently strokes my head. But in his eyes, I catch something I can't understand. Selena, promise me, take care of yourself. After breaking up with Gary, I throw myself into work and school. But there's still this empty feeling inside me. No amount of work fills it up. Months later, I suddenly get another call from Vincent. He says he had some new medications brought in from abroad for Grandma. I was going to refuse. But while on the call, Grandma happened to overhear. Selena, is it that boy who saved me? Just go meet him. Don't let his kindness go to waste. So I agree. In the evening, I arrive at the cafe Vincent suggested. A fancy cafe on the top floor of a mall. As the elevator doors close, I think I see Lisa in the distance. But in the room, it's just Vincent. Selena, these meds aren't for your grandma. Vincent takes out some white pill bottles from his bag. They're a new drug from overseas, specifically for your type of heart condition. I've guessed you're also reborn, right? I did those things in my past life. I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope you won't hate me. Please take these. Vincent looks sincere. It makes me drop my guard. Thanks for the meds, but they're too valuable, I can't accept them. You saved my grandma, I no longer. Before I can finish hate you, a sudden heart palpitation hits out of nowhere. I clutch my chest. Selena, what's wrong? Vincent jumps up, worried, trying to take my hand. The moment he touches me, a wave of heat rises from within. Despite the intense dizziness, I glance at the coffee before me. Vincent, what did you put in this? I can't believe Vincent drugged me. Selena, I've missed you. I really can't live without you. Vincent's warm breath tickles my neck. With my last ounce of strength, I kick the table over. I pick up a sharp fragment of a broken cup from the floor, pressing it to my neck. Don't come closer. But Vincent sees I have no strength left. He grabs the shard from me and pulls me into his arms. He violently tears the buttons from my shirt and hungrily kisses my neck. Selena, don't hurt yourself. It pains me. Inside, it feels like there's a fire burning. I can't fight it off. At that moment, I'm truly desperate. I can't tell if this is the past life or this one. Just when it seemed like things were getting better, could this really all be a dream? God, why give me another life if that's the case? I shut my eyes in despair. Just then, I hear a bang. The door swung open. In the haze, I saw a man rush in and punch Vincent hard in the side of the face. Vincent stumbled and fell to the ground. The man quickly took off his jacket and wrapped it around me, then gently scooped me up in his arms. I opened my eyes and finally saw who it was. Gary? Why are you here? Gary, who was always so polite and gentle, now seemed full of anger. Don't talk, he barked. His harsh tone made my feelings of humiliation and grievance come rushing in. My heart felt both sore and bitter. I never felt like this when Vincent forced me last time. At least nobody saw me back then. Nobody pitied me. But this time, the person I least wanted to see, saw me at my worst. Tears streamed down my face. By the time Gary placed me in the car, he'd returned to his usual gentle calm. Why are you crying? His long lashes were half lowered as he reached out and wiped my tears. Sorry, Selena, I wasn't trying to be harsh, I was just worried about you. Are you hurt? His expression was panicked. But even with his light touch, I trembled, feeling like a feather skimmed over my heart, ticklish and tingling. The jacket I wore was filled with Gary's scent. All I could hear was Gary's voice, and all I could see and think about was Gary. At that moment, overwhelming emotions rose within me, making me ashamed. I suddenly pushed him away, saying, "Leave me alone." Gary stumbled a bit. He froze for a second, then his eyes turned red, and he hugged my trembling body tightly. "How could I not care about you? In this lifetime, I don't want to lose you again." Gary took me to the hospital. The doctor said I was mostly fine, but at Gary's insistence, they checked my heart. No relapse of heart disease, but my heartbeat was irregular, and I shouldn't get agitated. The doctor suggested I take a good rest for a while. To spare Grandma from worrying and to avoid disturbances, Gary found me a quiet place to stay, and he personally took care of me every day. But how did Gary know about my heart condition? And when he said, "This lifetime, I won't lose you again," what did that mean? Could he have been reborn too? Yet, I can't recall any connection with Gary in my past life. I asked a few times, but Gary just told me not to overthink and offered me a bowl of porridge. "Here, open up." My face flushed instantly. "Senior, I'm really okay. You don't need to take care of me like this. Is it not good?" "No, no." I grabbed the bowl and quickly drank it all down. "Don't gulp it down like that." Gary gently patted my back. "Selena, I've got to go abroad in a few days. Stay here and rest up, I'll be back." After Gary went abroad, I thought about returning to school for classes. But Vincent kept calling me. I didn't pick up and even blocked him. I'm afraid he'll come looking for trouble if I go back to school. So I stayed longer at Gary's place. Sometimes Grandma would call me, "Selena, when are you coming home?" "Grandma, there's a lot going on at school. I can't leave. Please take care of yourself." "You're lying to me. Are you hiding from Vincent? He looks pretty pitiful, you know. He's been looking for you every day. He's not a bad kid. Why don't you just meet him?" Grandma never saw the bad side of Vincent. She didn't know what he did to me, and I didn't want to go into it with her. As long as he didn't hurt Grandma, it was fine. But then one day, I got a tearful call from Grandma asking for help. "Selena, I've been kidnapped. Please save me. Come alone. Don't call the cops." The next second, a message with an address popped up on my phone. It was Vincent's house. My heart was gripped with fear for Grandma's safety, so I rushed to Vincent's place alone. "Where's Grandma?" "Don't worry, she's fine. I couldn't find you, so I asked her to help me lure you here. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come." "I don't believe you. She's in the backyard of the villa. You can video call her." I quickly called Grandma and confirmed Vincent was telling the truth. She was in the garden having tea and even told me to listen to Vincent properly. Fuming, I asked, "Why did you trick me here using Grandma?" Vincent dropped to his knees before me. "Selena, the coffee shop incident wasn't my doing. I wanted to give you heart meds that day. Lisa came to see me first before you arrived. She begged to get back together, and when I refused, she tampered with the cups when I wasn't looking. I was drugged too, and I lost control." "Enough." I cut him off sharply. "I don't want your explanation. Whether it's you or Lisa, it disgusts me. I don't want to be part of your love games anymore. Leave me alone." Despite being on his knees, Vincent desperately kept explaining, "Selena, it wasn't me. Please believe me." I pulled away and headed toward the garden. "Grandma, where are you? Let's go home." But reaching the garden, I found it empty. My heart sank. "Vincent, where's Grandma?" Vincent looked up and suddenly smiled. "Selena, you're finally pleading with me." I slapped him hard across the face. "What have you done to Grandma? Want to see Grandma? Come with me." Vincent pushed open the door, and I realized it had started pouring outside. He led me to a blue Ferrari. "What are you planning to do?" Selena, do you remember the last day of your past life? I've been thinking, I wish you had survived that day. What's done is done. Vincent, what are you trying to do? Vincent gave a bittersweet smile, but I'm not satisfied. Selena, give me one last chance. 2 hours later, the car stopped in front of a villa in the mountains outside the city. Even though this wasn't the villa that got buried by the mudslide in my past life, I still felt uneasy. The rain was pouring harder, and I had this eerie feeling everything was about to happen again. Sure enough, the news started broadcasting flood and mudslide warnings. You're insane. There's going to be a mudslide tonight. I am crazy, but Selena, this time it's your choice. He opened the villa door. I gasped. In the living room, 2 people were tied up. One was my grandma. And the other, Lisa. Grandma. I'm here. Vincent walked over, knelt down, and untied the rope binding her hands. Grandma slapped Vincent hard. I trusted you, even helped you make that video to trick Selena into seeing you, and this is how you repay me? 5 angry, red fingerprints appeared on Vincent's face. He just gave a slight smile, helping Grandma up. Grandma, I'm sorry, I let you down. You can leave now. Next to them, Lisa was struggling violently, trying to remind Vincent to untie her ropes. However, unlike Grandma, Lisa was tied to a marble pillar with all her limbs, and her mouth was taped shut. Vincent walked over, lifted her chin. Lisa, you should be happy. Didn't you always say you loved me, willing to die with me in my past life? So today, you'll stay with me. Lisa's eyes widened, struggling and whimpering. Scared? Regretting it now? Where was your fear when you framed me? Vincent's gaze was like poison. I swore I'd never let Selena get hurt again this lifetime. So, you have to die. Vincent. Let her go. We can talk things through after we get down the mountain. I stepped forward to untie Lisa. Vincent blocked me, pulling out a key from his pocket. His gaze was deep. Selena, this is my final gamble. In an hour, this place will be buried by a mudslide. The shelter is 200 meters ahead. Here's the key, take Grandma and go there now. If, within an hour, you can forgive me and give me one more chance, come back and get me. If not. He smiled softly. Then watch from the shelter window as the mudslide takes me away. With that, he lit a cigarette, inhaled, and said, You should go, Selena. I was so angry my heart hurt. Vincent, you're so childish. You think by putting your life on the line, I'd go soft. You're doing this to yourself. I'm not coming back to save you. Selena, you better not come back. Only when you abandon me in front of my own eyes can I give up on you. Grandma, let's go. I pulled her hand and marched out. Selena. Vincent saved my life once, can't you give him a chance and let him leave with us? Grandma. He just kidnapped you. Who knows what trick Vincent pulled, but she was still thinking about saving him. I ignored her and dragged her out of the villa. In the distance, I saw a small steel structure. That must be the shelter. Grandma kept looking back, nagging at me. It was giving me a headache. And my heart ached too. Finally, we got to the shelter, and I used Vincent's key to unlock the door. Grandma, take a seat and rest, there's water here. I handed her a bottle of water. She didn't take it, instead, looked at the clock on the wall with a pleading expression. Selena, there's still over 40 minutes, please go save Vincent. Grandma, he's the one doing this to himself. Why force me to save him? Just because he saved you once? Why does he think risking your life, or his life, would make me love him or forgive him? Who does he think he is? Vincent, I already died once for you. The rain was getting heavier. Water rushed through the mountains. Time ticked by, but no one came out of the villa. Could Vincent really be trying to die in there? With every breath, my chest ached. I pulled out my phone and called the police. Police? Someone's trapped in a villa on the mountain, please send help quickly. We're at the base and it'll take at least half an hour, but the mudslide will hit soon. Please seek shelter nearby. A flash of lightning struck, making my heart jump. Vincent. Suddenly, Grandma pushed the door open. If you won't save him, I will. No matter what, it's 2 lives. Grandma, don't be rash. I hugged her. Fine, I'll go. My chest hurt more, but I couldn't let Grandma take the risk. Another rumble outside. I looked up to see a helicopter. Here for the rescue. The helicopter got closer, and I finally saw the figure coming down the ladder. It wasn't a policeman. It was Gary? Wasn't he abroad? Why is he here? Gary waved from afar. Selena, wait there, I'm going to save them. The helicopter zoomed past me. I saw Gary, agile like a bird, descend into Vincent's villa. At the same time, there was a loud crash. The mudslide hit. The roaring mud swallowed the building whole. Just like in my past life. The only difference was a helicopter hovering over the rooftop. I held my breath as I saw a figure finally appear on the shaky ladder. It was Lisa. She climbed up the ladder and got into the helicopter. But I still didn't see Vincent or Gary. My heart felt like it was about to leap out of my throat. Was Vincent being reckless again? But that would put Gary in danger too. Finally, Vincent appeared on the ladder, looking unsteady. With Gary supporting him from behind, both of them climbed into the helicopter. Relieved, I felt myself lose consciousness. I had a long dream, back to a previous life. It was my funeral. A black and white photo was hanging on the wall. The hall was cold and empty. None of my family was there, just my teacher and a few close friends. Suddenly, a tall, thin young man walked in, polite and in a black suit. Gary? I could smell disinfectant on him, probably from visiting my grandma at the hospital. He walked to my portrait and bowed deeply. Selena, which college did she go to? What was her major? Gary's voice was a bit hoarse. College A, law major, replied the teacher. Didn't you know? Who are you to her? Gary's voice cracked, just, someone from the past. Then he took something out of his bag and placed it in front of my portrait. Little friend, this is me returning it to you. My mind buzzed and I suddenly opened my eyes. I finally remembered who he was. Selena. You're finally awake. My mind was blank. I couldn't figure out which life this was. Gary sat in front of me, his eyes a mix of surprise and worry. Where does it hurt? I shook my head. Want to see your grandma? She's a bit tired, went back to rest. I shook my head again. Are you worried about Vincent? He's fine, but got taken by the police for kidnapping Lisa. I looked around the room. We used to stay in this ward together, right? Gary's eyes lit up. You remember? I did. When I was little, I had heart surgery in this hospital. There was a little boy who cried a lot. We stayed and played together in the hospital. He went for surgery a few days before me. On the surgery day, he kept crying, his lips turning purple. So I handed him some ice cream my grandma made. Don't cry, eat this, it won't hurt in the surgery. I promise. Really? Of course, it's true. I laughed. But you have to return one to me when you get back. I have to return it? No way. You only get if you trade, I don't give for free. We agreed that he'd give me one back the day I had my surgery. But after his surgery, he didn't come back. Grandma told me he was some rich family's little prince. His parents took him abroad. We never met again. I shot up from the bed. Are you Lisa's fiancé? Gary stepped forward, calming me. Selena, don't get up so fast. That was in a previous life. And I only agreed to marry her because I saw a photo and thought she was you. So in this life, are you reborn too? Gary nodded. At first, I didn't remember everything. I just had a strong urge to return home, attend college, study law, and help lots of people. He hugged me gently. Until I met you, then I remembered why. In my past life, I swore I'd find you earlier in this life. Never let you be alone and helpless. To never let you get hurt again. So, you went abroad to find a special remedy for me, didn't you? You know? I nodded. I remember someone holding me and making me take something bitter when I was in a coma. Gary, is this how you repay me? Gary smiled, ruffling my hair. His gaze grew deep. Then he gently kissed my lips. Selena, is it sweet now?